Welcome back to the Aether Universe Podcast, where all things Aether is spoken like it's normal, everyday language. This podcast was created specifically because you guys read too fast and I can't write that fast. So here you go. You're going to drop content every week because you guys are, you guys
deserve it.
Y'all do too much, man. You do too much. You read too much. No, but seriously, for those of you who are listening because you are a part of my mailing list already and you have already have jumped into the Aether Universe, I appreciate you, everything that you guys have done for to support the company so far, and we do this as a way to hopefully provide value to you guys, because we wouldn't be where we are right now if it weren't for you guys. So thank you so much. So we're here to ask the question, or answer the question that's on everybody's mind. And what is that question, Aly?
What the hell is a caster?
All right, what the hell is a caster? All right, so I got a question, because I know that there's people who have read it already, and casters were they were hardly explained, but that's why we're here today, because we're going to talk about what they really are. But you've read some of the books already. What do you think a caster is, like, based on your own interpretation?
Essentially a person that's human, like a human body, not alien or anything like that, but has powers. Pretty much. That's literally what a caster is. Let's talk about the world's first caster first, and then we'll go into what casters are. All right. So once upon a time in Massachusetts, there was a situation. A response, the Blackout Alliance were responding to a call out in I forget what city it was. It was so long ago, but they because the Blackout Alliance is their whole mission is to pretty much jump cut. But anyway, they wait, was there something that I forgot? No, anyway, you're going to appreciate that later. What? Anyway, so the Blackout Alliance, they did some stuff, and they came to do some more stuff. And when they got there, there was some weird stuff happening that just could not be explained. There was a guy there who, for whatever reason, every time he go around somebody, he would melt their insides out. That sounds
and
disturbing.
He didn't know how to control himself. He just was like running around the streets crying and stuff, and just trying not to come into contact with people. But every time he came into contact with people, he was melting their insides out. Like, people were just literally like eyes falling out, just like organs coming out of their mouth and nose and all that other stuff like that. But he ended up just, trying to just, all he wanted to do was just stay safe and try not to get around people. But because he was doing what he was doing, the police were after him. Military came out, and military was after him, and all these different agencies and bureaus. So when the Blackout Alliance got there, they tried to stop him, and then he just kept running. So eventually the only place that he could run was home. And he went home, and as the story was told, he tried to go home, and his family were there, and that was the last place of solace that he could go to hide out from these people that were chasing him. And he thought he was safe, and he didn't know his family was home, and he melted them too. So his wife and 3 kids, they were all yeah. And Torian Kane, the only thing that he could do in the moment was end the man's life. It was pretty gruesome.
That's rough.
Yeah, it is, right? So in the process of that happening, they were looking for ways to
to figure out how this guy was able to do all of that. Like, what was this energy that he was radiating? And it turns out it was just radioactive energy. But they were trying to figure out how it was
all of
that,
a sudden,
right, like this one person, how he was able to use things like manipulate the space around him externally without actually doing anything. So that was a little weird because humans can't normally influence radioactive waves with their minds or their bodies or anything like that. It's not usually something that happens. So
it's usually something that kills them first.
Yeah. So there was a study that was done to try to figure out how this man got this energy, or try to figure out where this power came from, or if they're just trying to figure out if they were tripping, like, what really caused this. So they were able to
pinpoint.
So the Blackout Alliance was able to jump cut and take that out, and they ended up realizing that this energy, the same energy that was radiating from this guy, was also found in India. There was a temple out there in India that just that for whatever reason on their GPS monitors they could tell that this energy was radiating from this place. So they did a little bit of digging and found out that this man had gone to this area, and he took a vacation to this area that was part of a business trip, like maybe I think it was a week prior to him losing control and doing all of that stuff. But when he got back, I guess that's when all of those things took place. And so they went to go find out where the power was coming from, and that's when they found the first relics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which relic was it?
The Pyro Stone and the Tetrasphere.
Fire and Earth did radioactive stuff?
Yeah. Because humans just not supposed to be in contact with those things.
Huh. Interesting.
So yeah, the world's first caster was created because there was people in the wrong at the wrong place at the wrong time.
They got their hands on the wrong crap.
Yeah, and they didn't touch it. They were in the area.
They just happened to be around it.
They just happened to be around it, and that particular moment, the Pyro Stone and the Tetrasphere were radiating energy, and yeah. So yeah,
that's terrifying.
Yeah, it happens.
If you go to India, I'm going to, just to make sure.
Yeah, I would love to go to India.
That would be cool.
Especially with the creation of this story.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get more insight on how things go over there.
That would be cool.
There's only but so much research you can do.
Did we just find our location?
Not really.
Okay.
We can talk about it. All right. So, what is a caster? Now we come back around to that question. A caster is, like Aly said, a person who is able to use supernatural abilities outside of just being a normal everyday human. So, what that means for like a caster isn't just like somebody who's able to like do superhuman abilities and all that other stuff like that. Like, I don't think there's really a logic to like how these things work in different universes, like the DC universe. I think like people just happen to have like random abilities that's bestowed upon them. Like
like a random god.
Barry Allen got struck by lightning, and I mean, you get struck by lightning, you're as fast as lightning, so that kind of makes sense. But then they kind of diluted the whole thing by talking about the speed force and all that other stuff like that. I'm like, I thought this was about lightning, but it's beside the point. I ain't gonna go there. It's not relevant. Superman, he he comes to a different planet to get his powers. I don't know how that worked, but the red sun and Krypton doesn't allow him to be Superman, but for whatever reason he gets the sun from the Earth, and all of a sudden he's able to fly and all these other things like that. He's able to shoot the
I thought it was
beams from his
because he
eyes.
was from that planet.
So like their planet, like they don't have powers on Krypton.
I thought they did.
They don't. They do not. They don't have powers on Krypton. It's only when they come to Earth is when they have those powers.
My whole life's been a lie.
Which don't make sense, but I ain't gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. So I'm like, does an Earthling have powers when they go to Krypton and
I feel
they
like
get
they
on
should.
the red sun? Like, I feel like
Let's go.
I feel like it's an even trade off.
Right.
But that's neither here or there. But casters are in the Aether Universe. This energy that's radiated by the elemental orbs are called kytrons.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get kytron radiation from an external source, and this source being the relics that were in the area, the two radiating energies, they kind of got sucked into this man's body and they reacted in a certain way. But in the Aether Universe, the kytron radiation, if you have a certain cell inside of your body that's able to metabolize, then your body creates the cells they're called kytron cells. So once the body starts creating the kytron cells, that's when your natural physiology and your genetics are able to encode that and create the abilities that
These
are
casters
embedded into the caster. Right. So like, it's like, and it's almost like a kind of like based on desires. Like in the Aether Universe, Dontrell Maxwell was able to create the ambidextrin serum, and what that did was give people who didn't normally have the kytron gene to the genetics to metabolize the kytron cells to actually metabolize it. And what it did was it created a need inside the person's psychology to do a certain thing, or to do a certain ability that they couldn't do, and they just did it. So like in the Aether Universe, like people who were exposed to kytron radiation, like say you were somebody who wasn't perceived as smart, so you walk around with the mentality that I'm not really that smart, I'm not this, I'm not that, I can't go to college or something like that. Like just take for example, and then they end up
being the smartest person in the world.
Not necessarily. So they become what's called a mind caster. So this was where your powers like telekinesis, empathy, things like that, like those kind of powers start coming up. But you're not. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're smart. Like you can be smart. Like there are some casters that have the ability to where whenever their caster abilities start to show, they become smart. But not everybody becomes smart just because you're a mind caster. Like you could just be sitting on the couch. Like there's like this scenario of and this is actually something that happens in the Aether Universe. There's like this guy who's like really big, and he's just kind of like reaching for the remote, and then all of a sudden the remote just comes to him. Like he's just sitting on the couch, just like, yeah.
I want it, but I can't get up.
I want it. Like you just like start using the force all of a sudden because he just couldn't get up off the couch. He became a mind caster because his desire was to reach something that was out of his reach. So like, there's like people who are like water signs and like, take for instance, we just had Pandora on our other podcast, and she said she's a water sign, and like I think she's I don't remember what she actually is, like but her astrological sign is water. So like people, they internalize that and they become hydrocasters. There's people like Milo, who was actually, this is a bit of a difference, but Milo is actually was considered a primal caster, meaning that his powers aren't necessarily derived from the orbs. He was actually born with the power.
Oh.
So you have your regular casters who were bestowed the power, and then you have your primal casters who were who
Were
who
born
were born
with
with it. And not only are they born with it, but they can also connect with the relic that has their same power.
Oh. Taught me something. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So it's a strange world out there, especially when you start talking about the ambidextrous serum and how it created characters like Ghost and Firefall and Barricade, characters like that who were just happened to be in the area. Like I think Ghost was trying to commit suicide at the moment because she was battling gender dysphoria. And just so happened that in that moment she when she was exposed to the radiation from not the relics, but she was exposed from radiation, Chytron radiation from the ambidextrin itself. And that situation created a whole new aspect of casters because it created a situational kind of thing. Like there was a character who was trying to fan himself from flames because he was on fire, but when the ambidextrine radiation hit him, he became this person that could control weather.
Oh wow.
So yeah, like it's things like that. Like it's just based on the physiology and the genetics of the person alone.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and the gene itself is like at some point like in the in Saga 3, they start going over this over like who's chosen and why is it that not everybody has the caster gene, but it's because not everybody is as close to their primal ancestors as the ones with the with the caster gene, if that makes any sense. The humans they're not necessarily from where you think they are, so I can't talk about that too much, but at some point I'll be able to, and I can't wait because that I have a lot more to talk about it, like that I can't necessarily talk about now because, as you know, the Arcanin Calamity series wasn't even the original series, so everything that I know about casters comes from way in the future in the Aether Universe. We're talking like maybe 150 years in the future is where all of this stuff is, all of this information is coming from. So them finding out about casters, like the reason, like people might read the Arcanin Calamity and say like, oh, well, you don't really talk about casters a lot, and we kind of need to know about it. I'm like, you kind of don't, because it's not really relevant right now. Like people have powers, and
just like when people in ancient like European or royalty times, like they didn't know of things for years and years before modern medicine came along.
Right.
Like, this is a similar situation.
Yeah. So like
where we're not going to unveil something to you before they even do in the story.
Exactly. So like they're like, you got to remember the Arcanin Calamity series is a struggle of humans trying to understand what's going on around them. The world is literally falling apart because casters exist. Like literally, like because they exist, the world is falling apart, and that's why all of these things are happening, because like people have found a way, like, okay, the first caster, he struck a nerve with somebody, and somebody was just like, okay, that power, I had to have it.
Yeah.
That's literally what the first book is about. But it was just they once that happened, the world itself started to break apart because humans were not supposed to have those powers in the first place. So it's not really relevant right now, like what it is, because they haven't really defined it, like Aly just said. So like we're not going to give it a face until it deserves a face. And right now it's just in book 2, you don't need to know about casters. Like, of course there's your differences between like Carolina and a water caster, a hydrocaster from Earth. Like there's a unique difference there. Her being a primal caster is because she's literally a deity, not because she was born with the power. So that makes her a primal caster, but she's literally a deity. So like you can't necessarily compare her to somebody who has their powers because of a serum or something that was created in the lab.
Right.
So yeah.
I like it.
Hope that adds a little clarity to some people's day. I know there's a lot of people who ask that question, like, what is a caster? Like, why is this a thing? Like, can you explain this? And like, for the most part, it's like most of the questions that everybody have, they will be answered. All you had to do is just keep reading. It's a big universe. It's like, I promise you,
There's a lot coming.
It's a I can't even show you guys the book list yet because there's a lot of spoilers just in the titles of the books alone. So I can't necessarily show you that, but there is, like Ali said, there's a lot of content that's going to take place in the very close future. We have a lot of things in production right now that I wish I can talk about, and being that we plan on doing this podcast for a long time, so like we'll get there. We'll get there, and I can't wait till we get there. But right now is just not the time to go that deep into everything. But I'm willing to answer questions that we get on the website. So if you have questions about anything that you want us to do a video about or a podcast about, then feel free to go to ajmcmullen.com. Let us know in the comment section that there's a topic that you want us to cover, and we will do the best that we can to do that without spoilers. Also, remember that if you're farther along in the series, remember that not everybody is at the end of the series and read faster than I can write. So not everything, we're not going to be able to talk about everything, and we're going to try to progress through as much as we possibly can without revealing too much of the story. So just keep that in mind before you ask the question, but feel free to ask and we can talk about it personally. Just make sure that you be respectful to anybody who hasn't read everything. Don't go posting spoilers to everything online. So
since so and so died, why this?
Right.
None of that.
I had somebody that tried to do that. Like we were talking about book 2, and I didn't know that they read book 1. And we were like in a group of people who were like talking about the book, and they just kind of like blurted it out. I'm like, yo, whoa. Like the whole ending, it was just like straight up, just like I think we were talking about the discount code that we tried that one time. That was in the back of the original
the original
Gem
book.
State Siege book, yeah. So when we first released the Gem State Siege, we had a Jesus Christ, we had a discount code for the book, like 50% off of book 2, and in the back of the book, but you just had to figure out, like, there was like kind of like a reading comprehension kind of thing, like you had to go back and find the answer in the actual story. But I think the next time I do that, it'll be in Arcanin. So I can't wait to.
That'll be exciting.
That'll be really exciting. I can't wait to do that. Now that I say that out loud, I think I'm gonna go back and change all the books and put an Arcanin in the back of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. And we'll have a episode of Arcanin deciphering situation on the podcast soon, so be on the lookout for that. So I think that's all I have right now. I think that's all I have right now. We're just going to go ahead and close it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys took value from this episode, and I hope you had fun with the listening to the topic and listening to me rant about this universe that won't stop growing for whatever reason. It's just weird.
I wonder why.
All right, so it won't stop growing because it's already grown.
Yeah.
And now that it's grown, it kind of takes on a mind of its own at this point. So it's like, whether I stop growing it or not, like it still happens. It's like, if I stop writing it, like what happens? Like it's almost a situation like this character is doing this right now. So what's going to happen in five days? or
Yeah.
like 5 years and 5 months from now, five decades from now. Like where is this going to take place? And like there's no way for it to stop growing at this point because it's grown so much.
True.
And just as a little humble brag, 290 plus characters span over. I can't even tell you the amount of time that is taking place in this universe right now. But just think it goes back all the way to the first day that the world was created. And even before the world was created, when Zeus and Hades were battling for supremacy over the other to determine who was going to get the abyss and who was going to get the Luminart, and they accidentally created the Aether, which we'll go into that on another episode as well. But from that point on, all the way up to the year 3150 is how far we've gone so far into this universe. But
there's a lot.
that's neither here or there. There's like I said before, there's a lot of content coming, so guys, just be patient. Be patient, and just stay tuned, because I can't wait to show you what we got coming up next. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this episode. You guys be blessed, and remember that there's no life without balance. Peace. See you guys on the next one.
For more information on AJ McMullen and the Aether Universe, please visit ajmcmullen.com.